Do you wish you had just a list of qualities of traits that make up a good facilitator? Are you trying to build a profile of who it is that you need to be, how you need to behave in order to be considered great at guiding groups? Well, today I'm going to unpack a list that I got from my contemporaries. Hi, I'm Andrew Fraser, certified lean green belt, change management practitioner, longtime project lead, husband and father of 4. On this channel, I go beyond the belt to help you master facilitation so you can confidently lead and guide groups to their objectives. My intent with today's video is to go over a list. Not a list of qualities that I made, but a list of qualities that I got from my fellow belts, Lean Six Sigma belts, yellow, green, and black. And I posed this question to my group the other day. What makes a good facilitator, or even a great facilitator? And they gave me a lot of answers, a lot of quality answers. And I had to pare down the list because there's a lot that goes into it. But today I'm going to break down this complex role into a list of qualities and traits, actions even, that a good facilitator behaves like and has and embodies. So if you're looking for that list, you found it. Let's get into it. This is not in any particular order, but the first one that I have is just so happens to be probably also the most important. And that is staying calm during stressful moments and just stress in general. So you deal with the stress of the moment, you deal with the stress coming from the group, deal with the stress coming from solving a problem, and you deal with it in a calm manner. And this is super important. It is highly important that you don't get sucked into too much into the energy coming from the room, the atmosphere coming from the room, because you have to stay the catalyst. You have to stay that person that progresses conversation, that progresses towards an objective. And in order to do that, you have to stay objective. You can't allow yourself to be sucked into a high stress environment. And believe you me, this is going to be, if you don't already know, this is going to be a stressful environment. Facilitation is a complex role and a highly rewarding role because of what we deal with. You put all manner of personalities into one room and you ask them to change. Change is, as most people say, change is difficult. It doesn't have to be, but that's the mindset of most people going into it, and you have to have that awareness. So when you put a bunch of different personalities, some of them difficult, some of them very strong, not bad, but just strong. Maybe they're complete strangers. Maybe they've worked together before. It doesn't really matter. You put people into a room, the same room, one space, virtual or in person, and you ask them to work through a problem together, you're going to have some tension moments. But it's very important, it's vital that you stay calm. Otherwise, they will not reach their objectives. If you go off the rails, they will continue to go off the rails, or you've sacrificed your rep. They don't view you in the same manner. You've lost credibility. And basically, you've become a contributor like them. They view you more as a teammate than as a team leader. So, the number one trait that I wrote down that came from the group was staying calm under stress. So number 2, actually it's number 2 and 3. I'm going to combine these because they both contain a highly valuable keyword. And number 2 and 3 look like this: reframe for clarity and reframe negative contribution. So the key word here being reframing. Reframing is a skill that facilitators need to have. We're not just reframing for our own understanding. We're reframing for the group's understanding. If you're not following the topic well, guaranteed there's other people in the group that are also being left behind. So you have to reframe. You have to show that active listening contribution yourself. Take a complex topic and break it down. You take something negative that was said, a negative contribution, someone just poo-pooing the whole idea, or have nothing positive to say about whatever it is, changing the process or what something about the process itself. You need to reframe that into something more useful. Negative feedback can be useful. It depends on how it was said. Thus the decision for you to reframe or not. In general, I would always reframe. Don't just mirror, don't just mimic, don't just repeat back the words that somebody else said to you. That's not useful. You have to change it a little bit. You need to apply your understanding and be vulnerable like that. Say, this is how I understand it to be. Is that what you meant? And then ask them to rephrase it even. Clarity is important always in communication. And in an event, and a facilitator's, one of their primary jobs is to ensure there's communication and ensure that the ideas being thrown around are as clear as possible. So reframing, and then just cleaning up some negative remarks. Just look at it as like cleaning up. Not that it's not a valuable remark, but just the form of it could be better. So clean it up a little bit, reframe it for them, or ask them to reframe it and to be a neutral statement or a positive statement. So number 4 is interacts with everyone. And I know how that might sound, but let me unpack that a little bit. You don't have to like everyone. You don't have to ensure everyone gets the same amount of time. No, that's not the goal here. You don't have to force the more shy members out of their shell. No, but you need to interact with everyone. Balance the interactions as much as possible and change up the method of contribution so that you get feedback from every member of the team as evenly as possible. Of course, there's roles. Some people are going to have more to say about whatever's going on than others. Some people are going to be more outside of the process and more asking questions, contributing from an outside perspective, and that's great. We need that. So they're not going to be quite in the mix of every conversation, but you do need to make sure that you interact with them, show them that they're there and that they need to be heard, and give them a safe place to do so. So number 4 is making sure that you as a facilitator interact with the people that are there and interact in the way that is going to help them to contribute more. So number 5 is you're coming prepared. I am a big stickler for preparation. I spend a lot of time thinking about and digesting and discerning the tools necessary, the methods of contribution that I'm looking for, or which would best serve the group, what's needed in the situation, what's their objectives, building out that agenda that has the problem statement and the business case and the objectives and goals outlined, what are the deliverables, all of that is part of preparation. And it includes interviews. I've received a number of comments and a number of compliments about the way I interview folks, and that I get information that they would never have thought that someone could get, or that they would be able to get out of people. The depth and the width of information that contributes to the depth and the width of the workshop, of the event when you get into it. And that just comes from being prepared. I want to be highly prepared when I walk in there. And I want the folks that are part of the team to also be prepared. So I give them as much information as I can without leading them. I give them as much to think on without telling them exactly what to think. So preparation is huge for green belts. Preparation is huge in facilitation. Number 6, uh, humor. Uses humor. And this might not work for everyone, but humor is a great tool to smooth the edges in every conversation. And like we just talked about, change is a complex topic. Change is a difficult topic for most people. And humor helps to move the change along, move the contributions along, move the conversation. And I'm not talking about like slapstick comedy. I'm not talking about knock knock jokes. No, I'm talking about just the ease of humor, the ease of being together with other people, finding certain things funny, being at ease with each other, or trying to be at ease with each other in the topic. And when I say use humor, it's not like you're an entertainer. Do not go in there thinking that you need to be a clown and put up a clown show. No, fashion contributions, fashion like a connection exercise or an icebreaker, as some people call it, that will draw some laughs. And then you can use that as fuel later on. It's really amazing how much of a community is built very quickly around a funny thing. Somebody said something funny, somebody did something funny, or a situation or a story that was shared, and then that just kind of becomes the undertone, the culture of the group. And you can refer back to that humor. You can use it as a facilitator, even though you didn't come up with it. You're with the group. You're a part of that culture. So use humor as a tool to help facilitate well, help the group to move along through the process, through the exercises. What was that on? Number 7. So number 7 is managing others' behavior. And this is always a sticky one for people. There gonna be personalities in the room that need to be managed. They need to be there. It's necessary. Their knowledge is great, and it absolutely can contribute to the value and the objectives, the goals being met. Like, you need their contributions, but what you don't need is some of the high and low points of their personality that's going to negatively impact the group, negatively impact the contributions of other people, or the team culture is being built, the formation of the team. And so you have to manage personalities. And I've produced another video about the top 5 most difficult personalities. I highly recommend you go watch that one. If you don't know what personalities to expect, that's going to be highly valuable to you as like the ones that can be most troublesome. Again, depending on your skills, your strengths, and your abilities, some are going to be different for you than me. But you're there to progress things again. And a strong personality that comes in, an alpha personality that wants to take over the group and move it in a certain direction, is not going to go well. You can feel the tension rising in the group. You can feel the misdirection. You can tell that people are going to start calling the person out. And while it's okay for the group to help manage each other, and you can't take on everything yourself, it's good that a group helps to manage itself. You also don't want the group to eat itself. You don't want the group to implode. So figuring out how to manage others' behaviors, other strong personalities, and just behavioral problems that might arise is highly important and a high value skill for you to have as a facilitator and as just a person or a leader especially. So managing others' behavior is a critical quality. You need to be curious-minded. Number 8 is curious-minded. And I feel like this is a particular strength of mine. I ask a lot of questions. I ask open, good, deep questions. I follow the conversation because I care and because I want to know what it is they know. I want to know what value it is that they're going to provide. I want to know what solutions they have in mind. Well, first of all, I want to know what problems they're having, and then we can talk about the solutions. So being curious-minded is part of that catalyst as a facilitator that you should bring to the venue. You have to be able to push people through problems, push people to solutions. And that most of the time happens through good questioning, good, solid, open questioning, and just sometimes just not letting go of something, not letting go of it until there's a truth revealed underneath it. Five Whys is a great framework to constantly bring in to a group session like that. Not that you're asking why, and you're being annoying about exactly following the Five Whys framework. And whoa, we're on our fifth why. We got to stop and we got to move on. No, it's understanding what the point of Five Whys is. And the point is to get to the bottom of something, get underneath the issue so that you can elevate it and then solve it. So being curious minded is absolutely necessary to act as a catalyst and a facilitator that's going to bring about the progression towards the objectives. A couple more here. I think it's number 9. Controls the scope. You as a facilitator have to control the scope of the meeting. Because it's a conversation, because it's people, and usually over the format of a couple hours or a couple days even, there's going to be ebbs and flow in the communication. There's going to be tangents and rabbit holes that occur, and that's natural and necessary. But you as the facilitator need to know when it starts to feel like you're getting off track. That's coming back to the prepared thing. If you know what the agenda is inside and out, and you know what the objectives are, what the problem statement is, you then should be able to control the scope of the conversation. And if you feel at all like you're not sure, but something feels off topic, I've done this before. Hey, guys, is this conversation contributing to our objectives here? Is it going to solve the problem that we're aiming to solve? They'll answer the question either, I've seen it both ways. They'll say, yes, it absolutely is, and here's why. Like, you're right. Okay, you're the experts. I'm just trying to help you, and it seemed like maybe he was getting off topic, but please continue. Or they're going to say, yeah, you're right. We were going down a tangent, going on a rabbit hole, and we need to back up and come back to the point. They did not take offense to that. They knew exactly why I asked. I was being transparent with it, and they understood that's part of my role because I've laid out the ground rules for them and described to them, I'm here to help control the scope of this event for you. You guys can have lots of open discussion. Just know that when you hit a boundary, or you start to hit a boundary, I'm going to start questioning that. I'm going to try and move us back to our objectives and back on track. So I definitely need to control the scope. That's why you're there as a facilitator. Read the room. You need to be able to read the room. This is a more difficult and complex topic, and it takes probably a lot of practical skills, practical experience to really nail this. But there's a lot of books out there, and I've read several of them myself, on how to read cues, how to read people's gestures, how to read their faces, how to read their macro expressions, which is like their whole body expressions, like crossing of the arms, crossing of the legs, waving of the arms, open hands, closed hands, pointing, like macro gestures, something that's much easier to see. And then there's the micro gestures. There's the micro facial expressions, the hints of a smile, the hints of a frown, the brow, those kinds of things. Reading people contributes to reading the room. And there's different levels of how to be aware of what's going on. And I'm going to unpack that in a future video because it's amazing stuff. And if you know this, then your ability to facilitate a group, especially a group of that's going through a complex change and is having a lot of consternation, a lot of churn and what seems like difficult moments, being able to read the room because you can read people is highly valuable. It allows you to be adaptive. It allows you to shift and change and focus in or back off those kind of dynamics in both conversation and proximity. So reading people is probably up there. It might even be in my personal top 3, right up there with curiosity and what was the first one? Calm during stress. Basically self-management. And self-management is a predecessor to reading people, by the way. So last one that I've got for you guys today, and I'll let you go, is just coming with care. Coming into the room with care. You need to have empathy for the folks in the room. They are going through change, as I pointed out, and it can be difficult. Even though things can be seeming to go well, and they're making progress towards the objectives or uncovering some stuff, always be aware that there might be a point that someone raises a real issue, or that one person in the room or several could be having a really difficult time. The majority of the group is moving forward, but you've got a late adopter. They're just not seeing it. And on the piggybacking on the reading the people is then having the empathy and the emotional intelligence to interact with that person in a way that says, you're valued here, and we need to make sure that because you were chosen to be a part of this team, because you're necessary to understanding this process well and coming up with the solutions that we're going to use, you need to be heard. Your voice is important. How you're feeling about this situation is important. And then going and providing that safe space for them to contribute back and to reflect back or confess maybe what it is that they're feeling, what's hanging them up, so that you can unpack it, so you can address it. So the last one is emotional intelligence. I don't know if I said that before, but emotional intelligence, which really boils down to and it kind of carried on the back of empathy. Acknowledging what people feel, acknowledging that how they feel contributes directly to the success of the group. That is all in this, not just facts and data. People will not adopt a change if they don't feel like it's valuable. If they don't feel like doing it, it ain't gonna happen. No matter how much raw data says we need to do this, if they don't feel like it, it ain't happening. And that's important to know and recognize. So address the emotional state of the room, especially at the individual level, and especially if they seem like they're having some reservations. You don't have to make them agree. You don't want to force them to agree. That's not the point. The point is they're holding out for some reason. Something got missed or maybe need to be reframed. And you can now have the opportunity to do that because you've had emotional intelligence, because you've recognized that, and you're going to interact with them on an equal playing field. Okay, so that's the list that I have for you today. Again, this came from a group of my peers. I agree with everything on here. I would probably add a ton more. Facilitation is a complex skill, and I applaud each and every one of you that are watching this video and made it to the end. This is a difficult topic, and I want to applaud you for taking it on, for being here and attempting to master facilitation. So I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like, subscribe to this new channel. It's brand new. And again, I'm here to help you master facilitation so you can confidently lead groups. So we'll see you next video.